This is explaining that this is not an epidemic, this is a pandemic. Do you know what it said on the news 2 weeks ago? Every 4 minutes in Australia, another diabetic is diagnosed. That's crazy. And if you look at that time frame, by the 1990s, all the wheat we're eating is hybridized.
In this video, you'll uncover a surprising truth about so-called healthy foods that may be quietly sabotaging your health. Don't miss this essential insight with expert Barbara O'Neill. Stay with us because every moment unlocks a longer, vibrant life.
Wholemeal wheat, 72. How could that be? Well, because it's not refined, it has more amylopectin A in it. Can you see that? Do you know what that means? That wholemeal bread on your glycemic index is even worse than white. Now, please don't quote me as saying Barbara says white bread's better than brown, okay? Please. Regarding the gut, the wholemeal's better because you got the fibre, you got more B vitamins, but regarding the starch,
in addition to its glycemic implications, amylopectin A, a type of starch found in many wheat products, can lead to significant blood sugar spikes by requiring more insulin for processing. This increase in insulin demand may be concerning for individuals managing blood sugar levels. Choosing low glycemic, fiber-rich grains like barley, quinoa, or whole oats can help, as these grains release glucose more gradually, reducing the need for a large insulin response. The Mayo Clinic has reported that high glycemic foods can cause fluctuations in blood sugar levels, which may lead to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes over time. Additionally, research shows that low glycemic foods help sustain satiety for longer, aiding in weight management, a key factor in diabetes prevention. To further lower glycemic impact, try pairing high glycemic foods with high-fiber vegetables or proteins. For example, a slice of whole grain bread paired with avocado or nuts slows digestion and minimizes blood sugar spikes, making it easier to maintain stable glucose levels.
when I presented this at one of our health retreats, a lady began to cry. I said, "Why are you crying?" She said, "I'm a diabetic. I'm type 2 diabetes. I was diagnosed at 65. I'm now 69. I do everything they tell me. I have wholemeal bread, wholemeal pasta. I have wholemeal cereal. And every 6 months I go to the doctor and he puts me on more insulin. And what's the definition of insanity? To do what you've always done and expect different results."
Recent studies show that individualized diets focusing on a low glycemic index can improve blood sugar control in type 2 diabetes. This highlights that the quality of carbohydrates is just as important as quantity. Switching to lower glycemic grains like millet, barley, or oats has shown potential for enhancing insulin sensitivity more effectively than high glycemic whole grains like wheat. A 2021 study from the American Diabetes Association suggests that whole grains with lower glycemic indices offer more stable blood sugar control, reducing the risk of post-meal glucose spikes and insulin resistance. A 2020 meta-analysis published in Diabetes Care also found that people following a low glycemic diet experienced a notable reduction in HbA1c, a measure of average blood sugar over months compared to those on high glycemic diets. Selecting low glycemic carbohydrates may help reduce insulin dependency over time. Imagine a diabetic patient shifting from refined grains to whole oats. Over time, she could experience fewer spikes and feel more energetic throughout the day. This example shows the value of thoughtful carbohydrate choices in managing diabetes.
She said, "I'm crying tears of joy because you have just solved the puzzle. And I'm crying tears of frustration because I don't do what the lady down the road does. She has chocolates and lollies and pizza and cheesecakes. I don't do that." What's every diabetic told to eat? Whole grain bread, whole grain cereal.
Genetics, stress, and lifestyle factors all impact how effectively people respond to specific diets. Some individuals naturally have a more robust metabolic response to certain foods, which helps explain why dietary changes work differently across individuals with diabetes. Understanding one's unique metabolic response to different foods allows for tailored diets that better support blood sugar control. Research by the National Institutes of Health shows that genetic differences play a role in how effectively people metabolize certain foods, emphasizing the value of a personalized dietary approach. The emerging field of nutrigenomics studies this concept by examining how one's genes influence responses to different foods. A 2021 study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that while some patients benefit most from a high-fiber, whole-grain diet, others achieve better outcomes on low-glycemic or even ketogenic diets. This reinforces the need for personalized nutrition that aligns with each individual's genetic and metabolic profile.
Why? What does Australia grow a lot of? Wheat. So what are they going to tell you? Eat wheat. And so this is explaining that this is not an epidemic, this is a pandemic. Do you know what it said on the news 2 weeks ago? Every 4 minutes in Australia, another diabetic is diagnosed. That's crazy. And if you look at that time frame, by the 1990s, all the wheat we're eating is hybridized. So we're looking at one of the first two things you've got to stop to conquer diabetes, and that is the refined sugar and the hybridized wheat. So what do you eat?
Hybridized wheat, developed to increase crop yield and resilience, has higher levels of gluten and amylopectin A, a starch that raises blood glucose more quickly than non-hybridized wheat. Some studies suggest that consuming hybridized wheat may increase insulin resistance and inflammatory responses in certain individuals. Limiting hybridized wheat products in favor of ancient grains, which have a lower glycemic impact, may help stabilize blood sugar and reduce inflammation. According to Harvard Health, modern wheat hybridization has led to genetic changes, increasing amylopectin A and, in turn, blood sugar levels. Studies, such as one in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, confirm that non-hybridized wheat varieties can lead to more stable blood sugar levels. Consider substituting hybridized wheat with ancient grains like farro, emmer, and einkorn, which have lower glycemic impacts. These grains are more readily available in health food stores and can replace refined or hybridized wheat in various recipes.
Spelt. Spelt is, and on Friday night when I look at the acid alkaline, I'm going to show you what happened to the gluten structure of the wheat. But spelt and kamut, they have not been hybridized, so they don't contain that amylopectin A. If you want to pursue this a little bit more, there's a book called Wheat Belly by Dr. William Davis, and he explores this subject and will explain it to you. So there are some things that you've got to stop to control diabetes. And these two head the list, plus caffeine. Caffeine gets an insulin response. One of the reasons why some diabetic nurses aren't advising that, because what are they drinking themselves?
Ancient grains such as spelt and kamut offer an excellent alternative to modern wheat for those managing blood sugar levels. Unlike hybridized wheat, these grains lack amylopectin A and contain nutrients that promote gut health and reduce inflammation. Additionally, caffeine, a common component of many diets, can prompt a temporary release of glucose, increasing insulin levels. For people with diabetes, managing caffeine intake may support steadier blood sugar levels. The British Journal of Nutrition reports that spelt and kamut are easier to digest and less likely to cause blood sugar spikes than hybridized wheat. Mayo Clinic research has shown that caffeine can impair insulin sensitivity, leading to short-term increases in blood glucose. To minimize caffeine's effect on blood sugar, try substituting it with caffeine-free options like herbal teas or chicory coffee. For cooking and baking, experiment with spelt flour or other ancient grains instead of modern wheat for a similar texture with potentially lower glycemic impact. Your presence here is so important, and I'm grateful for every minute you invest in your health. Subscribe to the channel, and if you've made it to the end, comment. I'm committed to my longevity. Let's keep evolving together on this vibrant journey toward better health.